You should have a screen with a title slide on. Thank you very much, Chris. Okay, so here we are again. Okay, introductions, what we're going to do on the course, who's coming, the materials, feedback from previous courses, what we're going to do after the course, and a little bit about the test. That's the agenda. Um, and this is really aimed at the people who haven't done this before. So try and give you some of the learnings. So for others of you, you'll have seen this sort of thing before. So the people who are going to be doing the presenting over the next 6 weeks are myself and Chula. I'm an instructor and CFI at Cambridge. I think I'm still a regional examiner. I think we've still got regional examiners, and I'm an FE. So as well as being CFI, which is entertaining. We've been running this course since 2020, and I think this is about course 6 or 7. Chula is at Dunstable, where he's an instructor, and he has been a Fertile examiner and FIA, which is extremely useful. I should probably mention Chris Marin, who's on the call as well, who helps out quite a lot as well. That's us. This year, so again, we're doing a 6-week course, Tuesday evenings. Probably ought to try doing a different night for people who can't make Tuesdays. So we've got two nights before Christmas, then a break, and then these 4 weeks in January. And what we do is we meet at 19:30 on Zoom like this for about 2 hours. And the format of the evening is a 30-minute presentation with a 60 to 90-minute small group coaching. So for those of you who haven't done it before, Chula or I will do the presentation. We take questions via the chat channel because we've got a lot of people on the call. And then at the end of that, somebody has been setting up groups, depending on how many coaches there are, and we put people in a small group randomly with a coach, and we provide the material for you to work with that group. And then after the formal part, these formal 6 weeks are done, we give people the chance of doing some small group coaching, where we'll actually put a small group of people together with a specific coach, generally geographically. So, if we can find people from the same club, that's what we'll do. And they can work together whenever they like, in order to get people to the point where they can do the test. So this is the course it has really 2 objectives. One objective is to get glider pilots using the radio, and the second objective is to go pass the Fertile test. And they're really in that order. I'm more interested in getting glider pilots using the radio than getting people through the test, but getting through the test is an important part of that. Attendees, we've got another 190 people registered on the course, which back 6 years ago, when we started this off, we thought we were going to get 30 people, and we got 109. We got about 200 people, and every year since we've had in the region of 175 to 200 people, somewhere around there. So we're clearly doing something that people like. We have 55 people who've said they will coach, not all of them all of the time, and many of them are new. So welcome to those who are new. Either here tonight or going to be watching the video afterwards. We can expect to get some drop out of that 190 people. Our experience is that there's a lot of work involved in this, and some people, when they see it and they start getting into it, they go, "This is not for me," and they drop out, or there are other reasons. We get a lot of people who come back a second time and do it again, and that works quite well. So we'll see people who've been through the course once before. We usually have about 10 people of that group who already have a Fertile, and what they're looking for is practice, but that's fine. We've Our age distribution usually looks a bit like this. It's quite well spread. I suppose it's fairly representative of gliding as a whole. Typically, we're seeing people who are at what would have been called bronze stage, but is now, coming up to SPL, thinking about going cross country, and they're getting encouraged to do their radio qualification. The format of the course is very much the sessions we're doing are not the main part of the course. The main part of the course is material that we provide on the website, and that is that's the pre-reading, the theoretical knowledge part of this, which is quite detailed. Various videos and backup slides. So we provide a video and the slides that video was made from. And we use a glider flight, a TMG flight, and some emergencies as the basis for teaching all the stuff that we need to teach. We have a bunch of scripts that can be used both for group work, so that is the work that you as coaches are going to do in the coaching sessions. So we provide the material for that, and we've got a little app that called Script Rehearser, which is quite useful, and that's something that actors use to learn lines. So we've got some scripts for that, and students can put that on their phone and play one half of the conversation from the phone, and then talk in the second half, and then learn whether they said the right thing or not. And then there's a bunch of other additional material, so different videos with aviation radio telephony in, and frequently answered questions. So if you're in any way not familiar with this stuff, it's worth going through. As a coach, it's worth being at least one step ahead of the students, and having seen what they should have seen. So I would commend the idea that you go watch the videos and make sure you're up to speed with what we're trying to do. Do jump in if you've got any questions or comments, because there aren't too many of us on this call. We can do that easily enough. Okay, so course materials. This is the page from the website. You can see the things that I've talked about here. So pre-reading and introduction, the flight in 2 parts, the TMG flight, emergencies, and then test. Then most of that session is about practice. The reason we've got a TMG flight is that the qualification that we're trying to teach people towards the FRTL, the Flight Radio Telephony Operator's License, is the same qualification as you would get if you wanted to go fly an Airbus. So we actually do need to teach all the things in it. Now, we're able to do that pretending to be glider pilots, which is great, but nonetheless, we do have to cover everything. In each session, and you'll see it, back to it. In each session, here we go. We've got the slides and then some group work. And it's the group work that we're going to use in the coaching sessions. So I've just pulled out a couple of slides to give you an example of what one of those pieces of group work is like. So this is session 3. And for session 3, we're getting quite complicated in what we're asking students to do. The first session, the one next week, that's actually pretty simple. It's basically all we're doing there is getting students to do initial and full calls. But by the time they get to session 3, we're expecting them to do some significantly more complicated stuff. So we give a brief for the students. So they're flying a non-transponder equipped glider on this task, which goes through the Mildenhall Mats. Um, and we ask them to get a service and get a MAX crossing from Lakenheath radar. So they need to understand quite a lot to be able to do that. We give them some details, and having read this, I now know I need to update it a little bit because Andrew Watson has got rather than the controllers only understanding these small number of places, they actually know about a few more now. We've got some visual reporting points that people can use, so I'll make a modification to this so they can do it. Now, the instructions for coaches are quite important here. The objectives are to practice these things: the initial message, the responding to requests to squawk when they don't have a transponder, the full message, responding to requests for a position report, and how to leave the channel. So your job as coaches is you're a facilitator as much as a coach. I think that's quite an important distinction to draw. Your job is to use the material we give you so that the students can practice doing these things. And each week they'll practice doing more complicated things. I'll show you in a moment the things that students like you to do and things that they don't like you to do. Okay, so before we get there, just a few things about logistics. So we have a mechanism by which we can sort coaches from students. And it's really important because one of the things while Chula or I am talking in the in the first half hour, the other one of us or somebody else needs to organize the breakout groups. So we have to put people in specific groups, and we want to have one and only one coach in each group. So we need to know who the coaches are. And the way we do that is you change your name to put a star in front of the name on your screen. So if you look at the screen at the moment, you can see Paul Ruskin. I don't have a star in front of my name, but okay, I can if I
I
hit
have. I have.
yeah, I can if I hit rename. There we go. I've put a star in front of my name. So now the person setting up the breakout groups can say, "Oh, that's a coach. I'll put him or her, one person in each coaching group." So really important. I'm going to get rid of my star because I don't want to do that right now. So what do? Hit the three dots on the top of your photo and then hit rename, and then you can put the star in. I will be available at the top level of the call. So you can think of it as me at the top and coaching groups underneath that. And at any time, if somebody, with 200 people on the call, occasionally people's connection breaks and then they come back into the session and they come back at the top level. So people need to know which breakout group they were in. They're numbered. So I will remind them, but make sure you know which breakout group you were in, so that if you do fall out, when you come back in, you can say, put me back in number 12, and I can do that easily. It saves lots of time. You can send a message to me, up to me, at the top level and ask me for help, or you can email or text. So I will be looking at this email. I will be looking at my texts, so you can get hold of me that way. When your group finishes its session, and the first week, as I say, is relatively straightforward, so it'll be probably earlier. Some of the later groups can go on a bit longer. That's it. You can say goodbye to everybody, quit, go and have a beer. You don't need to come back and talk to me, although you'll probably see me as you go out of the call. Right. Now, so far as the content is concerned, the group work that we're giving you, we're giving you a scenario script. So I showed you the Lakenheath one a moment ago. And the aim here is to get the students to understand the framework of the example. So it's not what we don't want them to do is to take their copy of the script and parrot it. What we do want them to do is to understand the structure that we've given them. So an initial call, a full call, how they would leave a frequency, and then work the facts, the particular example into that framework. So that's what you're trying to achieve. And sometimes by changing the detailed examples, you can help them achieve that, help them work at that slightly higher level of conceptual understanding than parroting the script. So you can start them in different places. You can give them different call signs. They could use the call sign of their own glider. You could give them a slightly different route, and so on. So that's really helpful, and it's quite hard work from your point of view as well. Some of you have air traffic control backgrounds, and I know that there are people who will run all 5 of their students at the same time, and that's fantastic if you can do it. Okay, post-course coaching, we assign some small groups of students to willing coaches. Well, I'll ask you at the end of the course, and the practice can be done when is mutually convenient. We do cover Zoom costs incurred by the coach, so you can get a Zoom license for a few months, and we'll cover that cost. Oh, Zook, good. Let's change that. Right, this stuff I think is very important. We've had feedback over several years from students, and their preferences are fairly clear. They like coaches who are conversant with the material. So know what we've been saying and know why. But they want people who concentrate on the route practice, the exercises that we give. We've had a few coaches who have used the sessions to talk generally about stuff and their experience of things, and it's not very useful. So please don't do that. Giving people a sense of how long they're there for is useful. This is going to take about this long, and then sticking with it, that's quite good for people. And this is the point I made earlier about if you can, for those people who have the capacity to have more than one person in the air, as it were, so you can deal with different call signs and they can listen out for different call signs, that's quite powerful as well. So, advice to coaches. Be familiar with the material for the week. It's all on the website. Make sure you've got a map. All the maps there are high resolution. You can open them, print them, have a pen and paper available so you can write down call signs, what people tell you, and so on. Do use the scripts we give. Don't try and teach other stuff. And I mean, if you're an examiner, fine, lots of latitude there. But don't overthink what you can achieve, I think. So use the scripts as frameworks, vary the specifics. Right. We focus largely on teaching pure Cat 413. And by that I mean we teach it as per the book. And that's because we're trying to teach for the test. Now, I entirely appreciate that in the real world, things are done a bit differently. And we do, at some point during the course, have a slide that says, typically when you get out in the real world, these are the things that you'll see doing differently. But please avoid doing that when you're coaching, because we want people, it's the law of primacy. We want people to be able to go into the test and pass it, and not have to unlearn the things that you're teaching them. And clearly, normal instructing rules apply. Be positive about things that students do well. Be gently critical of the mistakes. When we get to the test can be done with any RT examiner, and there's a list that the CEA have. I think this year, as I said earlier, before we started, we might even have 4 or 5 examiners as coaches this year. So Tulip has a good idea that we'll put their details up in the last session so that people can go to them. The test must be done face to face. So they're going to have to meet. So there's some value in if there are several people from the same club getting together and organizing that. There's a theoretical test which can be done at the same time. Chris Marin, do you happen to know whether we've taken the step of the comms paper of the SPL theory being valid for this yet?
Not yet, as far as I'm aware.
Okay, there is definitely a plan to, and I
Yes.
know Andrew Watson is trying hard to make that happen. Um, we'll see. I'll check that with Andrew. Um, we have some money that's available to subsidize the impecunious if necessary on the test. So if you do come across people who you think would benefit from a subsidy, let me know and we can organize that. I think that's it as far as I'm concerned. Um, are there any questions?
Just one quick one.
Yeah.
When I took my test, the examiner was very keen that I didn't do the theory test and the practical test at the same time.
Okay.
He was quite keen on
That
that.
would be unusual, I think.
Yeah,
Chris,
was
do you
it?
want to comment on that?
Yeah, you do them both together. In fact, there's 3 parts to it. You do the TK first, and then immediately afterwards, you do the practical test. And of course, the third part, which we haven't mentioned, level 6 ELP, which most of us get. But there is a problem with people who don't speak clear English about this level 6. So I always get a phone call or something beforehand to save them a wasted journey, because it is quite an issue these days. There's an amazing number of people who don't speak clear English. Don't have to be a native, but their English isn't brilliant. And the only thing we can give is a 6, which is for life. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, people who can award a 6 are any CA examiner and a Fertile examiner.
Correct.
The way it was solved in my case, which obviously I came to this country at some point in my life, is the examiner called me and we had the chat for 10 minutes. He only told me afterwards that's what he wanted to check. So he didn't tell me anything before the test. Just, yeah, okay, let's meet and do the test.
Okay. Thanks, Joseph. Okay.
He's got his hand up.
Hi. I was just going to ask about Safety Sense 22 and whether that's been recommended to the participants. Certainly, it's recommended by the examiners that they've seen to do their Fertile in previous years.
Remind me which one that is.
It's radio telephony for GA.
Oh, yeah, sure. We've got, if you look on the website, there's a whole bunch of other materials, and I'm pretty sure that's on there.
Yeah, it's nearly the entirety of the course is contained on there for GA, so it's a much more digestible read for glider pilots who are preparing for the Fertile.
Yeah,
Useful.
yeah. There's a lot of material that people can work their way through. Different stuff works for different people, I suspect.
Paul, so I don't see a lot of questions. Can I just do a sort of slightly techie one? So the chat thing has changed.
Okay.
And I don't know if we need to have any settings about co-host, hosts, whatever. But I've been I was trying to send a message to Ian, or I think it's on the call somewhere. I'm not able to do it. I don't know if others are able to send chats or not, or is something, but it's definitely not as it was.
It
And that would be
might
important.
be that it's probably one of the settings that I can set who's able to send messages to whom.
Yeah, so we'll
And
need to just check that, won't we? Because that's how they're going to send. We as you said, we're going to encourage them to send any questions they've got in by chat.
yeah, so normally what I do is I have it set so that they can send messages to the host or the co-host
Yeah.
rather than communicate between themselves. Because what we don't really want to be happening typically is a conversation, you or I are talking, and then there's a conversation going on in chat between various people.
Yeah.
So we tend to
Yeah.
keep it that way.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll check that though.
All right.
On the
Evening,
call,
Paul.
sorry,
I had a slight problem getting on with the just a technical issue with the Zoom with the link that you sent out. I couldn't access that through my iPad or the laptop. It was asking for a passcode or a meeting ID, whereas I've managed to get on through my iPhone, but I'm not sure whether you can provide a ID or a passcode on future
yeah, I can do.
links.
No, so actually, no, I can't actually. Well, so we do the future ones slightly differently from these. So this session is not one that required registration. I just sent you the link and people clicked on the link and they're here. Okay. What we do with the other sessions is that we require people to register. And then, so the process is they register, they get sent a link, and then they use that link to get onto the call. The link might have no, I'm pretty sure they need the link. And the reason
link has the username and password in it.
Yeah, the link has the username and password in it. I think it's not just a general thing. Generally, that works. I mean, it's worked for the last 6 years. The reason we do that is I can then tell who's been on the call. So if we ever get an issue of, well, did the person do the course? We know that. Okay.
Ian, have you got your examiner's ticket now?
I've got my AOC on the 9th, so hopefully after the 9th I'll get signed off.
Great.
Okay. Ian, if you continue to have a problem, let me know and I'll sort you out something specific. But
perfect.
Can I just check
I'm on the phone. That's okay. Thank you.
Okay. Can I just check who the examiners are that we've got on the call at the moment? Let's see, James, you're one, aren't you, James? So Chris, we've got you, Chris Marin, James Morgan, yeah, you're one. Who else we got? Colin Roger, yeah. Colin Roger. Ian, you're going to be.
Fingers crossed after the 9th. Yeah.
Good luck on that one. Anybody else? Okay, well, there's 4, and I think we might conceivably have another. Excellent. Okay, anything else, anybody?
I ask if you've changed any of the exercises or material since last year, or is it?
Not yet. I've just noticed something I want to change on the thing that I put up as an example, but not much has changed. There are some SIs that James and a couple of other people have told me about that I'm going to do something on. James, I looked at those and there's not a lot that I can see in there that's.
Well, you've got the RMZ to actually do.
No, the RMZ is the obvious one.
Yeah. In fact, I'm just looking at it now. You can ignore the one so far as cooperative ATS is concerned.
Yeah.
There is one which they probably need to know if they're flying into an airfield which does not have ATC, if you've got an aircraft making a GPS approach. That would be fair game to us so far as the oral is concerned. The radio mandatory we've talked about, and going through what's called special use airspace to actually a DIAS and a DAC. They need to actually know.
There's a few things. Okay, I'll do a special on that and include it in one of the sessions to point people at it. But I think we can condense that down to something reasonably concise. I mean, the CEA is so reluctant to have people flying instrument approaches into airfields that the chance of anybody actually seeing one would be quite low. But it might come up in the test. You're muted, Jens.
It'd be fair game to ask so far as the oral part is concerned.
Yeah, sure. No, we'll cover it. Okay.
I think in both those two contexts, that they're a bit more common up north. So RNP approach within 5 miles of us, and I'm sitting where I am at the moment. I'm probably about a mile from a special use airspace area.
Those things we might well get, I think. But yeah, I'll definitely we'll definitely cover those at some point. Okay. Anything else?
Could I just clarify the version of CAP 413 we're using? Because I think one version was withdrawn, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, the latest on their website. I'd have to look up the exact number. Is it version 21?
Not sure. Could have been 24. Not sure.
Okay, it's whatever's on the website. I don't think there was anything I mean, the withdrawal, I don't think did anything dramatic in terms of what we're teaching.
No, I think that was the version I had when I last did the Fertile, and it's gone back to 24. So you're correct.
Okay. I am on the. Sorry.
Version 23.1, 26th of November 2020.
Yeah.
Edition 24 was withdrawn.
Okay. Okay. There are some. I've just seen some potential changes to CAP 413, which I guess will come out in an SI at some point, but I think will be done by the time that happens. And it's only